Hello, it is the first work day of the week, and it's our pleasure to welcome you to the news at 10 on the network service of the NTA. We're reaching you live from Federal Capital City, Abuja. My name is Blessing Abu.
And I am Ifoma Ojinta. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines.
Encomium and jubilations as the federal government deliver on yet another promise with the upgrading of Akanibiam International Airport in Enugu.
Inspector General of Police cautions Edo and Ondo politicians ahead of governorship elections, assures of level playing ground for all political parties.
Ministry of Mines and Steel Development reads the Riot Act to host communities over interference with production.
Plus, FRSC begins nationwide campaigns to promote safety on all roads and guide against crashes and gridlocks in the Ember months.
Now, the news in full. People of the Southeast geopolitical zone have appreciated the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration for keeping faith with its promises of upgrading facilities at the Akanibiam International Airport, Enugu, to match global standards.
Speakers at the opening ceremony believe that these and other federal government projects in the zone speak volumes of the administration's commitment to infrastructure development across the country. Susan Eze now reports.
With the runway extended up to 3 kilometers, airfield lighting and other auxiliary facilities all upgraded to standard, this ceremony marks a new dawn at the Akanibiam International Airport, Enugu. Governors of the Southeast Zone are grateful to President Muhammadu Buhari for demonstrating strong commitment to infrastructure development, which the Southeast Zone is a beneficiary. With the Akanibiam Airport, the second Niger Bridge, the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway, and other projects standing out as shining examples.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second Niger Bridge is moving on very well, and it's a product of dialogue and persuasion.
That testimony of the foundation to rebuild the nation through the provision of critical infrastructure to stimulate economic growth and development of the Nigerian nation.
Other stakeholders, including the former Deputy Senate President, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, and the President General Ohaneze Ndigbo, Chief Nnianwodo, also lauded the project, hoping that the terminal and cargo wings of the airport will also enjoy such speedy completion. Appreciative of the unwavering support of the Enugu State government in the course of the project, Minister of Aviation said, with the project done and dusted, attention will now be shifted to speedy completion of the cargo and international terminal buildings.
May I urge the governments and people in this region to increase their commitment by using this airport to the fullest.
Governors of the Southeast Zone, traditional rulers, political leaders, and other stakeholders all graced the historic event. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
In the meantime, some key players and industrialists in the Southeast have expressed optimism that the rehabilitation of Akanibiam International Airport by the federal government will open doors for more business opportunities, tourism, and economic growth in the country. Jude Abugu tells us more.
The airport, which took the federal government 1 year to get it to the desired international standard for more flights, airlines, and passengers traffic, is being described as one of the best in the country presently due to the high quality of job delivered by the contractors. With the airport now open for normal domestic and international flight operations, respondents at the reopening event highlighted some of the economic benefits that will be accrued to the nation from the airport's transformation.
I learned that if further improvement is done, the British Airways, Lufthansa, KLM, Delta, all of them will start coming this place because this is the industrial zone of the country outside Lagos and Kano. The impact the opening of this airport will have on the economy of this part of Nigeria can not be overemphasized.
Apart from opening up the economy of the zone for foreign investment and job opportunities, other respondents are looking at the tourism potentials that the airport will create in the zone.
Tourism in Enugu State is going to wear a new look with the opening of this Akanibiam airport today. A lot of businesses have been keen in tourism industry.
The opening of the airport, like you said, is a new vista. We're all very happy. It's a win-win situation for everybody, not just for the tourism industry, but for all of.
Respite has come the way of property owners affected by the ill-fated helicopter crash at Okpebi in Ikeja area of Lagos.
The State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, while on assessment visit to the scene of accident, assured residents of government's readiness to take charge of all repair work. Abolade Salami reports.
The situation on ground shows that calmness has returned to Salvation Road, Okpebi Ikeja, where we had the ill-fated helicopter crash. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu paid an on-the-spot assessment to the site of the scene to see for himself the level of damage. He met with the house owners and assured them that Lagos State Government will swing into action by ensuring that all damaged properties are fixed.
We've seen the level of destruction and damage, and immediately they've taken the samples. The tests are being conducted to understand the integrity of the buildings around, right? And once that is ascertained today, tomorrow, we will start working with the federal government agency. We'll start the reconstruction and the renovation of the places that have been affected.
Fiscal planning were here yesterday. You can see fire brigade, but you can see people from fiscal planning. That means the government is looking after its people.
On arrival, we met the presence of security personnel on ground, whom we were told had been on ground since yesterday to ensure security of life and property of every resident in this area. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
As the Federal Road Safety Corps begins its nationwide end-of-the-year campaigns with the theme, Drive Safe and Stay Safe, the Corps Marshal, Dr. Boboye Oyeyemi, has called on the motoring public to make the year 2020 Ember Months unique and crash-free by adhering strictly to road traffic regulations. He stated, among others, that road traffic crashes are avoidable and road crash-free society is possible when best road practices are applied. According to BC Kazim, the Corps Public Education Officer, the Corps Marshal strongly cautioned motorists to note that the end of the year is not naturally tragic and are not in any way different from other months of the year, only that there seemed to be an increase in vehicular movement witnessed during the season. In order to guide commuters on the path of safety and minimize the tendencies of crashes and gridlocks, the Corps Marshal advised commuters to maximize alternative means of transportation by patronizing the train stations where available, as these will drastically reduce the pressure on the road transport sector. He also warned that all traveling protocols for COVID-19 should be strictly adhered to, as terminals and parks are expected to double up their effort in providing adequate running water with soap and sanitizers in their parks and terminals. While maintaining physical distancing, all vehicles must have sanitizers inside them and avoid as much as possible the use of air conditioner, among others.
The Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development has warned host communities to desist from interfering with the activities of mining companies or face consequences.
The Minister of State in the ministry, Dr. Uche Chukwuoga, said this when he interfaced with host communities in Opoku and Ogbadibo local government areas of Benue State. Bem Anya reports.
Since inception, the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration designed a program to make coal a major source of energy in Nigeria, which is expected to create jobs and add to the socio-economic development of the nation. It is against this backdrop that the federal government granted licenses for the extraction of coal from the vast deposits in the country. In Benue State, members of the host communities raised issues with environmental hazards and compliance with extant laws, infrastructural developments as part of the mining company's corporate social responsibility.
We saw the degradations in my community. We saw that the way our coal has been mined over the years have been environmentally harmful to my people. And we saw it wise to call people to come and have a look at the state of affairs in my village.
Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Uchechukwu Samson Oga, in a meeting with traditional rulers, youth groups, and community leaders, emphasized that mining is on the exclusive legislative list and therefore warned individuals and groups to channel whatever grievances they may have to the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development instead of interfering in the operations of the miners.
We have agreed with them. They're going to create deep boreholes for the communities and the impacted communities pending the time they resolve other issues. So I think everything is falling in place for both the community. The community people are happy and the mining company is happy.
According to the Rural Electrification Strategy and Implementation Plan, power generation from gas is expected to reduce to 41%, while power from coal is expected to rise to 10% by 2030. Bem Hanya, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We go on a break now. When we return,
Inspector General of Police cautions Edo and Ondo politicians ahead of governorship elections, assures of level playing ground for all political parties.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thank you for staying with us. Now to flood issues. As rainfall intensifies, flooding continues to wreak havoc to farmers in Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Niger State.
The flooded water is said to be moving across more than 150 kilometers from Zamfara to empty into the river Niger in Kebbi and Niger states. Musa Baba Aliyu has more.
Two factors were said to be responsible for the flooding ravaging farming communities in Sokoto, Kebbi, and Niger states. First is the level and frequent rainfall, which are beyond the earlier prediction. The second factor is this: the gradual release of water from the Goronyo Dam.
This is a reservoir of water that contains about 984 million cubic meter, almost 1 billion.
The water moved from here in Goronyo to River Niger after traveling for more than 700 kilometers.
This water goes down to Kebbi, Niger State. You understand? So it's what fed all the Adamas along the plain.
The flood is from Arugungu here down to Suru to Kaoji, while on your right is from Arugungu up to Sokoto to Goranyu.
Federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria say farmers operating under Anchor Brewers program will be given a waiver in loan recovery.
Farmers have invested nearing harvest time. They have made all the necessary activities from land clearing, from other application, everything. Just close to that, to harvest time, we're experiencing this.
An insurance premium that has been paid for every farmer that participated. So that also will help recoup whatever losses. And also with the planting that they are going to plant as soon as the water is receding, the farmers will be able to come back to the business immediately.
The assessment of the damages occasioned by flood continues. From Goronyo in Sokoto, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Going by Hydrological Services predictions for the Federal Capital Territory this rainy season, rapid urbanization of the city and the negative attitude of people towards the environment are pegged to be the causes of constant flooding, leading to destruction of lives and property.
Now, what can be done to outwit this recurrent seasonal enemy that has consistently wreaked havoc? Ilyas Onotu Yakubu examines the situation.
It has been one case too many. 8 lives have already been lost to flood disaster in the Federal Capital Territory this rainy season. Majority of them are people sheltered along prone areas, floodplains or water channels. The latest casualty resulted from last Wednesday's all-day heavy downpour. Residents such as this victim in this amateur video and a host of others have been constantly adamant in refusal to adhere to warnings and caution from disaster managers on the dangers of flood, and this has resulted in the increasing spate of loss of lives.
Any moving water, even if it's about 6 inches high, can carry any small vehicle, talking of individuals. So our word to people, once you see on the road, don't assume that I'm used to this road, and then you say, it's about 10 meters, let me cross. You wouldn't know what will happen.
The territory may need to reevaluate risk assessment of prone areas with strategies and policies to curtail the impact of flooding.
So we are pleading with the residents of FCT. Don't undermine, don't underrate the power of water.
While stakeholders have continued to strategize for focused response and mitigation, residents need to heed to caution so that proactive measures may yield desired results. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu.
Now, intersectoral collaboration between stakeholders involved in the management of flooding and other emergency challenges across Niger State have been activated towards the mitigation of the impending water overflow to hit the state from the Niger Republic.
Dawda Mohammed reports that the non-functionality of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission is a major hindrance to addressing mitigation efforts.
Challenges of flooding across Niger State can be categorized into 2, the urban and rural. In the urban setting, the main challenge of flooding is caused by the indiscriminate dumping of refuse into drains and the building of houses on waterways, while the rural flooding is caused by communities living across the river banks and have refused to move even when danger is imminent. This year alone, many lives and property, including farms, have been lost to flooding, especially those involved in aquaculture, with countless people rendered homeless.
So we need government to come in and do something urgently, or else the level of unemployment will continue to increase.
The recent prediction on the expected flood to hit Niger State early September has generated concerns, prompting action by agencies involved in the management of emergencies, bearing in mind that the state is hosting hydroelectric dams situated on the River Niger, the direct route of the flood water, which are Kainji and Jaba dams.
We want to engage the dam managers to start spilling the water because we don't have much intensity of rainfall at the moment.
Although a permanent solution to flooding in Niger State may be far-fetched.
Once HYPADEC comes on board, all that is needed is for HYPADEC officials to make sure that they connect with the source of the River Niger.
Stakeholders are also of the opinion that with the early warning given, most states along the River Niger now have ample opportunity to carry out intensive sensitization, which will reduce casualties and damages when the flood hits the country. In Mina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
Gridlock continues unabated along Kaduna-Zaria Express Road following the damage of a portion of Rigachukwu Bridge, which links Kaduna town with other states in the northwest. Mohammed Umar Ajingi was at the scene of this particular one.
A stone throw from the Kaduna International Trade Fair Complex, the bridge is a major link on Kaduna-Zaria Highway. According to some eyewitnesses, a portion of the bridge gave way as a result of pressure from articulated vehicles and torrential rain. This has left thousands of travelers stranded, with the possibility of many of them spending the better part of their travel time in this gridlock. The situation is compounded by the continuous downpour, which makes the management of the traffic difficult. It will be recalled that the House Committee on Works had earlier expressed concern over the slow pace of rehabilitation on this highway. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar-Ajingi, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has warned politicians and their supporters in Edo and Ondo states to conduct themselves properly, play by the rules and steer clear of tendencies capable of undermining the electoral process in the two states. The IGP gave the warning, having reviewed the election security threat assessment reports submitted by the commissioners of police from both states in a meeting held Tuesday, 25th August 2020. The election security threat analysis reveals, amongst other indicators, arming and movement of political thugs, using of inciting statements during political campaigns, high likelihood of violence and possible cross-attack by political opponents, misinformation aimed at heating up the polity, and deliberate efforts at delegitimizing government institutions involved in the electoral process. The IGP has therefore ordered the commissioners of police in the two states to rejig their preparations for the elections to accommodate and address the threats and emerging trends as contained in the security report. He noted that the force leadership is evolving customized security architecture to protect the people and ensure hitch-free elections. The IGP, however, warns politicians and their supporters in Edo and Ondo that the force will not hesitate to bring the full weight of the law on anyone or group, irrespective of status, that may want to sabotage the security arrangements being in place for the elections. Meanwhile, the IGP assures Nigerians, particularly the people of Edo and Ondo states, that the force remains committed to protecting the sanctity of the ballot in the country. He reiterates that the police will be neutral, apolitical, and will work assiduously with all stakeholders in ensuring a level playing ground for all in the elections.
Now, the Coalition of Nigerian Youth on Security Affairs is streamlining far-reaching measures to tackle rising cases of insecurity in some parts of the country. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that as a frontline strategy, the coalition is developing national network situation, the room to put increasing crimes on check.
Coalition of Nigerian Youth on Security Affairs are driving the strategic initiative with a vigor of achieving deliberate steps of enhancing security in the country. The youth lost the sustainable progress in suppressing the influence of insurgents, bandits, and other crimes by the federal government and express support for more breakthrough.
What we are here gathered for is to establish a formidable youth force with the responsibility of complementing the efforts of all stakeholders in the fight against insecurity.
Speakers say federal government intervention and stakeholder support are required to make further push in strengthening internal security and safeguarding Nigerian territory against invasion.
Whenever we talk about security, it is an issue or it is a task that need all the youths in this country.
Nigeria is coming up and it's advancing. I want you to go into forensic and exploit the activities of the principal of forensic in investigation.
The inauguration of the coalition is in recognition of the military and other security agencies' efforts in maintaining forward operative bases in crisis areas. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The incidence of sexual assaults in Nigeria is a raging issue that has provoked public outcry, especially as the numbers are increasing, with perpetrators becoming more daring. Thekla Wilkie examines why this crime has continued to fester, with perspectives that may mitigate the surge.
Rape, a crime that shatters dreams and rips lives apart. Aisha, who is barely finding her feet away from the cradle, is one of the latest victims of this heinous crime. Hers was a case of broken trust, as she was molested by her relatives, including a 65-year-old man in Kaduna. Not too distinct is the plight of Hamid, a 15-year-old boy who is deaf and dumb and sodomized by someone he thought he could trust.
From research and from investigation and findings, most rapists are going through mental problems. Because if you look at a rapist who is a teenager, for instance, you could say that is youthful exuberance, you know. But how about a case where you have a father defiling his own daughter, or where you have an adult defiling a 3-month-old baby? It shows you the height of absurdity.
The questions on the minds of many is why there is a sudden spike in the number of rape cases in Nigeria. Is it a function of more reportage or a case of more victims breaking their silence?
It is very, very important that people who commit these heinous crimes are held accountable. It is when they are held accountable that others will be discouraged to take part.
One major enabler of rape incidents, analyst notes, is the victim's hesitation to speak up.
It's either you're being blamed for being raped because you're not properly dressed, or you were walking at night. What were you doing in the dark? And you got yourself raped. You got yourself raped.
As it turns out, there seemed to be a good reason why most victims prefer to shut up and wallow alone in their misery. The slow administration of justice, and sometimes the absence of it, drives most victims deeper into their shell of pain and anguish.
If a police officer does not follow up on a rape case, that police officer should be charged because that person become an accomplice.
From all indications, that is not the only shackle around the ankle of justice. The cost implication is another barrier that leaves most victims depressed and discouraged, as establishing and proving the commission of this criminal offense is as hard as climbing a steep mountain without a support structure.
You don't say that I am a victim of, I've just been raped, I'm brought to the emergency department, I say, Dr. Ahmed, go get 40,000 naira or 20,000 naira before I perform an assessment to you. No, there should be a law that mandates any clinic that has a victim presenting. There should be a law that we say, we will do this, we will perform the rape assessment on you. And that should be covered by the government.
In response to the growing menace of sexual assault, the National Assembly took a bold step in spelling out a punishment for culprits. Observers are, however, circumspect of the impact this legislative action will have in mitigating the surge.
It shouldn't stop by legislation only. I think we need to extend it to ensure that we start doing proper assessment and treatment of these individuals. Otherwise, we make them into worse criminals. So you can have a sex offender that spent 14 years in jail. He was probably spent 2/3 of that time and is released into the community. Whilst in jail, he's been re-abused. When he comes out, without treatment, he becomes a mega sex offender.
It begs the question of how crucial the sex offender register is in deterring persons living with these abnormal sexual tendencies.
I just don't want to believe with this notion that nothing is... I know part of the thing is for us to have sexual...